Every NFL fan believes this could be their year. Today, we're breaking down the biggest storylines, making bold predictions, and debating what makes the NFL America's favorite and most popular sport. Kenny, you know what's funny about NFL fans? Every August, we're all undefeated.
Yep, always. Yep, and every team has the best offseason they've ever had.
Including every rookie is going to be the next superstar.
And every fan says, if we can just stay healthy.
Hope always remains undefeated.
Yep, and reality usually shows up around week 4.
I like that. So today we're making our predictions for the 2026 NFL season.
And some of these takes will make us look like football geniuses.
And some will age like spoiled milk. Welcome back to Life on Record, the podcast where we laugh so we don't cry about our soul-crushing realities. Football season is back, everyone. Yeah. Sundays are finally sacred again. Fantasy football is about to ruin friendships, and we're here for all of it.
So let's kick off the season, baby. Let's go.
Woo! All right. So, Kenny, what is it about the NFL that keeps us coming back every single year?
Oh, that's a great question, Matt. For me, personally, it has to be parity, for one. You really don't know what's going to unfold for the season. For example, last year, this time last year, as we're recording in August, I had no clue that the Seattle Seahawks would win the Super Bowl, or that the Patriots would be as good as they were. Although some people probably saw, with Vrabel and Drake May, and that they would be more improved, but, turns out they were a little further ahead than some people might think. Or some people might say they had an easy schedule, but I digress. Also, fantasy football brings me back every year. We've been doing it or at least I've been doing it for about 9 years now. I think this will be my 9th or 10th season doing fantasy football, and, absolutely love it. It's great to, spend time with your friends and, talk shit and whatever. And then there's also things like tailgating at the game, maybe I don't know. I've never been to an NFL game, Matt. Maybe you can speak on that, but
you've never been? I thought you had been to a Denver Broncos game.
No, never been to a NFL football game. Few college games and lots of tailgating going on there. So maybe there is tailgating in NFL too. I mean, I don't know.
Well, you need to come to Jacksonville during the NFL season, and I'll take you to a Jaguars game.
Yep, waiting for that email saying that you got a ticket.
Oh, I got a ticket. You just tell me what game you want to go to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And then also there's things like NFL Red Zone, where you're able to basically just watch the touchdowns or the scores, So it's real quick, and, goes around to all the games that are going on eventually. Some are obviously more exciting, so they kind of stick with those. More marquee games, I guess. They probably try to show those a little bit more. But that can be fun, that way you get a little taste of every game on Sundays. And then the rivalries, like maybe the Bengals and the Browns, or I guess maybe the Bills and Patriots. It's kind of a rivalry. And also the drama of the season. Nothing says drama like the NFL, whether it's with injuries or coaches getting fired mid-season or breakout players that you didn't see coming, just creating this storyline after storyline after storyline. The list goes on.
Yeah, whether a new player from, they're a rookie and they sign their rookie deal, and how that's going to play out, or a guy that's been holding off maybe through camp and maybe finally signed with the team, or somebody that's retired and they're coming back for the next season. there's all kinds of different things that can happen, during that 17-game season. And we all hope that our teams do well enough to make the playoffs and then get home field advantage so that we can continue to go to the games, because it's difficult to travel if your team's playing in the playoffs and they're not playing at home. But what are some of those off-season moves that changed the league for this year? I would say the number one off-season move is the Myles Garrett trade. It was very seismic for the NFL. There was speculation about him signing a new deal with Cleveland and whether he would or not. But then they decided let's trade the best NFL player to the AFC team that made it to the Super Bowl but didn't win, in the Los Angeles Rams, and give them, I'm going to say this over again because I got it wrong.
NFC.
But NFC, yeah. So you trade the best player, right? 2-time defensive player of the year to the Los Angeles Rams. And it's like, okay, AFC to NFC, but you've just given them another weapon and another reason.
A huge piece to their defense.
Right? To help deliver them another opportunity to play for the Super Bowl. Although they did send Jared Verse to the Browns, and the Browns got a lot of high draft picks, which is good, but it definitely makes the Rams'
we've seen what they've done in the
very
past with high draft picks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're going to pick shitty players or trade them for whoever knows what, but I would say, the Myles Garrett trade is the kind of the biggest offseason move. A couple of other ones, the A.J. Brown trade with the star receiver moved from the Eagles to the Patriots. That was kind of an interesting trade because Philly's offense is already pretty good. And then you get rid of one of their best weapons and you trade it to the Patriots, who's like, can we just get even better, as you mentioned earlier? Now they've got an elite weapon, although he is a little bit of a locker room issue where he always wants to get the ball, but we'll see what happens.
That's typical of wide receivers, though.
Yeah.
But when I thought about this question, Matt, which offseason move changed the league? And to me, it wasn't just one move. It was a lot of moves. And I'll go in a different direction here with all the coaching moves that happened, either in season or during the off season. There's I believe 5 or 6 new head coaches that have never coached before. And then there's a few guys that went to a different team after they were fired or let go or whatever.
Or they were a coordinator on another team.
Yeah. Well, that's on some guys just haven't had head coach experience yet. But what I mean is that in itself, like Harbaugh going to the Giants or Stefanski going down to the Falcons, well, to me, changes so many things because they have different philosophies than the previous head coach, and we'll either, we'll see results right away, or it'll take time, especially with those new coaches that haven't been in that position before. I'm not anxious, but excited to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting for some of these rookie coaches or coaches that have coached on other teams. And like you said, now they've brought a new offense or defensive scheme, different play calling approach to some of these NFL teams and how that's going to work out. And then that'll help kind of shape how fantasy football is going to go too.
Exactly.
So who are some rookie quarterbacks to watch this year? Obviously, number one overall pick, Fernando Mendoza, was part of the 2026 QB rookie class that had 10 quarterbacks drafted. He's kind of headlining that, and he's going to be working with new head coach Clint Kubiak, who is there in Oakland now. But is Fernando even going to start? I don't think he is. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be leading that team
I think
right away.
I think they've already announced that Cousins is going to be starting. But, I mean, who knows what, by mid-season, Fernando could be in there. But for me, I think it's crucial for rookie quarterbacks, unless there's a situation where they must be there, they have no other choice, which is, in my opinion, not a good thing to do to them. as we've seen in the past, it's really good for those guys to sit back, just take in as much information as they can, and just learn. We've seen it with Patrick Mahomes, even Tom Brady when they first came into the league, they sat behind and weren't starters. So I think it'll be good, especially for that organization too. They're kind of down. For him to just sit, learn as much, and if need be, say Cousins gets injured or something, God forbid. I don't want to put that on anybody, but if that happens, or if he's just not getting the job done, then he may need to step in but yeah, so he's definitely one to watch, Matt. I have another one if you'll divulge me, and we saw him, if you did watch the Hall of Fame game, would be Carson Beck.
Yeah, he looked really good in that game.
Yeah, and there's,
for playing with backups, I guess.
Right.
You could say. I was surprised he didn't get sacked a whole bunch of times with the backup offensive line, but he held up pretty well.
Yeah, he's able to get the ball out pretty quick and make quick decisions. And a lot of that lends to his experience in college. As we've talked about before with NIL, a lot of players are staying longer, especially at the quarterback position, staying longer in college so they can get more experience, more reps. And, like players like Bo Nix, for example, same thing. And you're able to, the transition isn't as bad. Although some may argue that they still see that things are a little too quick for Bo Nix. But it just takes time, You got to get in there, get the reps, and eventually they'll come around. But with Carson Beck, he showed already in this game that he's ready from day one. And he'll have some, growing pains along the way, and Arizona isn't really expected to do much this year. They may win one or two games all year. I haven't really delved that much into their schedule, but I think they may be underdogs in most of their matchups this year. So, but I'm still curious to see how it turns out. I mean, they got Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, and they may have a decent year. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they could surprise a few people and win a few games that they shouldn't win. So we'll see.
All right, yeah, that's good. Good comparisons there. So, what are some teams that are under pressure this year? Right off the bat, think about the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? They got old man A.A. Roziers, right? His last season, he said he's retiring after this. At 42, he's still playing, and that their divisions, that AFC division is very tough. So we'll see what happens with Pittsburgh.
Speaking of OA,
new coach too.
Here's a quote that they put on a shirt, the Dan Patrick Show. Shout out Dan Patrick and the Danettes there. They came up with this a few years back. Ayahuasca is for lovers. That's a great quote from AA Ron.
Then we've got also the Cincinnati Bengals. They added,
for sure.
Yeah, they added some defensive players, right? Dexter Lawrence trade. They got Jonathan Allen. And I probably am going to mess up this name, but Boye Mafi or Mafi? I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But either way, I look at it like this. The Bengals have sucked when it comes to defense for so long. If they could just have I'm just saying, middle of the road defense, they could go to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying. Like, their offense is so good that they just need to stop another team from scoring one additional touchdown, and they're going to win. But if their defense can be better and make them an actual respectable defensive team, then they're going to have a great shot at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Houston Texans, right? They've got C.J. Stroud. They did better last year and were terrible the year before. Now they signed David Montgomery, so they will probably have a much better running game. And
that'll lend to help Stroud.
Yeah, of course. And they
seemed
made
like
the
he was
playoffs
running
last year,
for his life 2 years ago
against they did get offensive lines, gotten a little bit better, so that's going to be helpful. But he turned the ball over too much last year, so hopefully they can play a little bit better. But for the Jaguars, I hope they don't play better. I hope the Jaguars will crush the Texans every time they have to play them. So then we're looking at the Cleveland Browns, who have continually through history not been good. The only time the Browns have been good is when their team moved and they played in a different
the
city.
Ravens.
Became the Ravens, right, exactly. So they've got this huge, wide open QB competition. Who knows who's going to be the starter there? And you don't know what's going to happen. So we'll see how it ends up. And then you've got the Detroit Lions, who didn't make the playoffs last year. They went 3 straight years as a Super Bowl contender. And now the big question is, can Detroit win a championship? They just signed the best and highest paid deal for a running back, even after the Falcons signed Robinson to the best deal. Then the Detroit Lions go and sign Gibbs to the best deal. So we'll see how that's going to shake out for them this year too.
Yeah, they gave him like $50 more or something. It wasn't that much of a difference. But
yeah, running backs don't get paid a lot in the NFL, but
for sure,
it's still a good deal.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. And they're above and beyond the 2 best running backs in the league. And for sure, the top teams under pressure this year are, in my opinion, the Bengals and Lions. Their head coaches are feeling the heat, I would say.
So what about the new coaches on these teams? So we had 10 coach openings this year. A lot of coaches moving around, but kind of the headliners, and I think you mentioned it earlier, John Harbaugh moving from the Ravens to the Giants. So we also have Robert Saleh moving from the previous Jets defensive coordinator to the Tennessee Titans. And they brought in the Giants' previous head coach, Brian Daboll, who was an offensive coordinator at Alabama at one time, to be his offensive coordinator. Then we got Mike McCarthy moving to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Todd Monken
from retirement or something.
Yeah, I think he was offensive coordinator. Yeah, he was still coaching. He went from head coach to offensive coordinator and then back to head coach.
Okay.
Todd Monken, who was with John Harbaugh and the Ravens. He was their OC previously. So now he's the Browns head coach. Then, as you mentioned, Clint Kubiak, who is now the Las Vegas Raiders, and he was with Seattle previously. And then Kevin Stefanski, you mentioned too. He was formerly with the Browns and now with the Atlanta Falcons. So with all these moves and everything going around, Kenny, what do you think is going to be the toughest divisions this year in the AFC and NFC?
Toughest division? Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a great question, Matt.
I mean, you brought up a couple of teams already that would probably fall into that category. If you think. You just mentioned the Cincinnati.
Pull up my notes real quick.
Who? The Cincinnati who?
The Cincinnati.
What division are they in?
The AFC North.
There you go. All right.
So I don't think that will be that has been in recent past one of the toughest divisions in football. Mm-hmm. And I think I even mentioned, this might have been 2 or 3 years ago, that I was like, they could have, any of those teams could make the Super Bowl. I know that sounds crazy because the Browns are in that division, but it must have been a year that the Browns were doing well, and then they shit the bed as the Browns do. But just giving a quick glance over everything, the toughest division you said. Well, it may be the NFC West. With the Rams, the 49ers, who had a down year last year, could have a bounce back season. And then you have the Super Bowl champs, the Seahawks, in there. So that right there, to me, looks like the toughest division, even though they have the Cardinals in there, who are possibly the worst team. And then maybe next would be the NFC East. I could be wrong there. Dallas is poised to have a better defense. As you were talking about the Bengals, mm-hmm. They kind of remind me of the same. They have a great offense and a shitty defense. So if they could just get their defense squared away, that could be a more improved team. The Giants with Harbaugh, as you mentioned, the Eagles tend to be good every year, at least for the past 5-6 years now, and then Washington.
We were talking off, and then Washington, right?
Washington's an off, you kind of never know what they're going to have. So they're kind of a mixed bag. So, but no real shit teams there. So yeah, and then the AFC, if I was to choose one, it would, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of tough. They're all kind of a mixed bag of good and shitty. So maybe the AFC South, you know.
Okay. Those are some good
what about
picks
you,
there.
Matt? Do you have a
Yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah, I think the AFC North is gonna be the toughest division this year.
Okay.
That's just my pick because of Baltimore and Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Cleveland, who knows what's going to happen with them, but I think it's going to be a tight race between Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh if they meet their aspirations that they're trying to attain this year.
Okay.
And then I would say the NFC North on the other side, just because of how the division has always been playing tough and, kind of who is going to come out there between Minnesota and Detroit and, just Chicago and what those offenses could do this year. I think that's going to be
and Green Bay's always
right. And Green Bay's always in there, right? They've kind of taken a few steps down, but where, Chicago's got this, relatively 2 years in coach that was highly sought after. Minnesota's made some changes with players. I think Minnesota might take a step down this year as well, with Detroit kind of moving back up. And you never know what's going to happen there. But I definitely agree that the NFC East is going to be tough, depending on how Dallas's defense does. And then you've always got Jaden Daniels and Washington and, John Harbaugh now, like you said, running the Giants is going to be tough. And Philly, the Eagles have the easiest schedule this year, at least on paper. So we'll see what happens. What happens with them? But yeah, I think those are some pretty good picks for toughest division this year.
All right.
So one thing I wanted to ask is, we're entering this new season in the NFL. Who do you think has the most pressure on them this year at a position? You think it's the quarterback, the coach, or the general manager? Not a specific player, but just a position. The quarterback's kind of the leader of the team, right? The coach is kind of managing it, and then the general manager is trying to get everybody on the same page, manage the budget, make sure players are paid, signed, traded, all those things. So who do you think has the most pressure this year?
Ooh. Well, every year. I think every year the quarterback has the most pressure. They're actually in the game, Once the decisions are made prior to the game, the general manager, I mean, they're doing stuff behind the scenes or whatever, but honestly, I don't think they have any pressure on them. Maybe if all their decisions have made the team fall apart, I mean, and they're not living up to their expectations, obviously, but a lot of times these guys, general managers, they can get a job somewhere else, or maybe they just leave and go to a different industry. A lot of them, whatever. I just don't think there's a lot of pressure on them per se. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, it's the quarterback. The coach has a lot of pressure as well, but they're not in there getting smacked around. So
that's true.
I think it's the
always
quarterback.
A lot of pressure.
Always has the most pressure. So,
okay, good analysis. All right, next, let's talk about the hype train that's going around the NFL these days and some of these overrated and underrated teams. So in the media right now, they're talking about 3 teams and, whether they're overrated, underrated, kind of going back and forth, depending on if you're listening to local sports radio or national sports radio. But one of the teams that keeps popping up as overrated is the Dallas Cowboys. And why are the Cowboys overrated? I don't know, because they always have a good offensive team. Defense has been terrible. They're America's team. Everybody wants them to make it to the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. They've got the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader thing on Netflix where they're talking about, we're going to win it all this year. And then at the end of the season, they're like, we ended up sucking. We're terrible. We didn't make it to the playoffs. Wake me up when the Cowboys play actually matches the hype. They got to prove me wrong. But right now, they're very overrated.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Matt. And until the media stops talking about them, they'll always be the most overrated team. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about it. And I have them listed right here. Most overrated team is the Dallas Cowboys. So, yeah, they just, like you said, they never live up to expectations. And, you know, a lot of that blame can go to the media for that. They constantly talk about them. It's nauseating.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, next. So for most underrated team, with that, whether we think is going to make the playoffs or not, but I think that will make the playoffs. Obviously, last year the most underrated team were the Seattle Seahawks. You brought that up earlier. Nobody really thought they were going to make the Super Bowl. Their defense played really well. They had a great running game, and they had a new quarterback that played really well in Minnesota the year before. So Sam Darnold came in and led them to the Super Bowl. So, hey, kudos to them. Now they don't have Kenneth Walker. They still got the same quarterback. They've got a rookie running back. It's coming out of Notre Dame. He's probably going to be just as good. And whenever Charbonneau comes back, if he does come back, they'll have a two-headed monster towards the end of the year. But my most underrated playoff team is kind of a tie here between one of my favorites, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shout out to the Jaguars. And maybe Kenny's second favorite team, because he's always been a Bills fan for a long time, is the Denver Broncos. I think those are two of the teams that are the most underrated this year, especially in the AFC, that teams aren't going to give them the credit that they should. And they're going to have them underestimated, and they could come in there and lay the smacking down. Even though the Broncos were 14-3 last year, I don't think anyone actually gave them the credit that they had. They have a great coach. They've got great young players. They made their team even better. So
defense is really good.
Yeah, defense is really good. They returned 94% of their starters. So who says that they could go undefeated this year? I don't know. But there's a strong possibility with the schedule that they have.
And by some I mean me, might argue that the only reason they didn't make the Super Bowl is because Bo Nix broke his ankle.
Yeah, he got hurt.
And they had to throw in a scrub, and I hate to say that because he's another former Auburn player.
Not at the same level, obviously.
That clearly was not up to the task in that playoff game. So Jarrett Stidham just was not up to the task. So sounds like you have a little thunderstorm there, Matt.
Yeah, it's about to rain this afternoon in Florida. Yeah. So afternoon in Florida is always a thunderstorm.
And it's the summertime, yeah. So to me, when I thought of this question, I thought about the Carolina Panthers. They probably snuck up on some teams last year. They ended up winning. They won their division, I believe.
Yeah, they did win they did win the NFC South because the rest of the teams were terrible.
And so, to me, I think that they're one of the most underrated playoff teams. So maybe they're not underrated. I don't know. Just they're just the team that stuck out to me as they're improving. Bryce Young's getting it. He's a little undersized for a quarterback, if you ask my opinion. However, he tends to make good decisions. He's a bit of a scrambler, so he's able to play well enough to get a few wins that they probably shouldn't. And their running game was amazing last year, and their defense showed up when needed. So that would be my pick for most underrated playoff team. But
okay, all right, good pick. All right, so next is biggest sleeper. So biggest dark horse is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and shout out to the Heights podcast, Jason and Travis Kelsey. They also picked the Jaguars as their dark horse this year, and I think that's going to happen. I mean, they ended the season with a 8-game win streak, except for when they lost in the playoffs. But I think Jacksonville is going to be the biggest sleeper this year. They're my dark horse. Over to you, Kenny. So who's your dark horse this year?
Well, I'm going to go and stay in the same division as the Panthers and say the Saints. The New Orleans Saints are going to surprise. Okay. They're going to be. I think they'll surprise a lot of people this year. They do have an aging running back. They also have some younger backups that played key roles last year, and I don't know. I think that I say his name is Tyler Show, but apparently it's supposed to be pronounced Shuck even though there's no C or K in there. So I don't know. He's better than most people thought. A lot of people wondered why that they were going with him, but I mean, he proved last year that he's up to the task. So I think, that crappy NFC South it is better this year, should be better. But all those teams, none of them really separate, teams being Panthers, Falcons, obviously Saints, and the Buccaneers. Yeah, Buccaneers. None of them really separate from each other. It'll be a tough division battle, even though not all those teams aren't really that good. They're kind of mid. But my sleeper team is the Saints, so watch out for the Aints out there.
All right. So now, who is the biggest disappointment waiting to happen? I think it's going to be a team that you just mentioned in the NFC South, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
Here's why. I
was
think
concerned
they're
there
doomed
for a second.
Yeah. No, not the Panthers. Here's why I think they're doomed to fail. Number one, what is going on with Baker Mayfield? He seems very unhappy, on his contract and like just with the management of the team and what's going on there. He doesn't have Mike Evans anymore. They don't have Levante David on defense. And last year just wasn't good. One of their defensive tackles, Vita Vea, is asking for a trade. So I don't know what's going on in Tampa, but it just seems like it's a disaster waiting for happen. What do you think, Kenny? Any teams out there doomed to fail this year?
Yeah, and I went with a team that has been decent, and had a crap year last year, and then expectations are higher this year. Although I think they're going to be a disappointment because of that, because people think they'll have a bounce back year. They have a new head coach, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. I'm calling it right now. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I see them just not living up to expectations again this year. Maybe some big changes need to happen other than their coaching staff. So, but we'll see. I mean, you never know. Again, we're recording this on August 8th. So, training camp is underway, and, preseason's right around the corner. As I mentioned earlier, the Hall of Fame game was the other night. So still early, but to me, I see the hype on them, or at least the potential for bounce back is there. But I don't know, a new head coach in, it can be a little dicey. They'll have some growing pains early. I expect to see, and maybe not even coming into form till later in the season. So, and it may be too little, too late for them. So,
all right, that's good stuff. Next, we're going to get into our playoff predictions. Who do we think are going to win the divisions, gain a wild card spot, and then win their conference? So I'll start out first. Let's start with the AFC picks, Kenny. Division winners. This one's an easy one. AFC East. We're going to start out, and as always, your favorite, but I think they will easily win the AFC East, is the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
What say you?
Yeah, I think so. They play well, but they just have a hard time in the playoffs. I don't know, but I think this may be their year. I think I thought it was last year, honestly. And then they, controversial play against the Broncos, just didn't get it done. But I think that experience, I think Josh Allen's learned a lot with that, and I think this is the year they get it done. Could be my Super Bowl pick. We don't know. We ain't got there yet, but yeah,
okay, yeah,
definitely Buffalo.
Yeah, I like that. Josh Allen, healthy weapons, no real competition. Easy pick for the AFC East. All right, next, let's go to the AFC North. My pick this year is, and this is all saying there's going to be a healthy Lamar Jackson, and the new coach is going to bring some life into that team. And it's going to, and their tight end is going to take over a lot of games with their receiving, and then they're going to run it with the heavyweight running back in my favorite, Derrick Henry, and that's going to be the Baltimore Ravens.
I'm going to go with it. And that's funny you say that. I just said they were going to be the biggest disappointment or whatever we said. But
but that's my pick.
I know I'm going with the Bengals here. I think they're under their head coach is under a lot of pressure. They haven't gotten off to a good start since he took over. Like every year they lose like 2 or 3 of their first game. They just look like they're still in training camp or something. But I think this is the year that they changed that. I don't know. I believe their defense. They made the good decisions there, and they'll be improved. That offense is, as we've seen with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrows spinning the ball.
The Joe Burrows.
Yeah, I think they'll get it done this year. At least I hope so.
Okay. All right, let's head down south in the AFC to the AFC South, where Vegas odds have the Texans as the favorite to win that division. But I'm going with my Jacksonville Jaguars as my pick for the AFC South. Right, they've got a top 5 QB in Trevor Lawrence. The defense is playing much better. In week 11 on last year in the season, Trevor Lawrence had the best TD rate of any quarterback. If you like following fantasy football, and I had him on my team, so that helped me win a championship last year. And they actually are projected to get the most wins in their division. So why wouldn't they win? So I'm going to go with the Jaguars.
All right, it's a good pick, Matt, but I say not so fast. As our college pal Lee Corso would say, even though this has nothing to do with college. That was the previous episode, so go check that out, which I didn't even mention Lee Corso at all. So if you're looking forward to that, it won't be there. I'm going to go with your man and D'Amico Ryans and the Houston Texans. I'm on board with the betting.
With the Vegas pick, okay.
Yeah, yep. and I think that the Texans will get it done. That defense is nasty, will continue to be nasty, led by one of the best defensive players, I think, to play college football and obviously has a great mind. And so, yeah, I think it'll be the Texans. The offense will be there. Stroud is, he's had his ups and downs, but, was this season 3 or 4 for him? Whatever it is. I just think it's their year.
Yeah, I think he's going into his 4th season.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think they get it done and pull off that division. So,
okay. Some good picks there. Next is the AFC West. And this one's a little bit of a tough pick because I really like the Denver Broncos, but I still think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to come back and win the division, win it outright. Not saying that the Broncos won't make the playoffs. I'm just saying that I think the Chiefs will end up winning the division.
Okay. Yeah, they had a down year, kind of unexpected last year. Although, if you think back, the previous year, they had a lot of close games that could have went either way, and those games last year went the other way. So, who knows? I don't have a feel for Kansas City, just because they've been a mixed bag the last few years. For me, I'm just going to go with Denver. I mean, that's my hometown team. They played well last year. As long as Peyton and Nix can get along and not fight, they should be all right. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with Denver.
Okay. So then last for the AFC, we have the wild card. So my wild card picks are your pick to win the AFC South and the Houston Texans. And then I'm going to go with the AFC North, Cincinnati Bengals, and then the AFC West, Denver Broncos. Houston, I think it's going to be close, but Jacksonville is going to take the division with Houston coming in, getting the wild card. Same thing. It's going to be close with the Ravens and the Bengals, and they're going to have a much better defensive year. And then it's going to be, like I said, a tight race between Denver and Kansas City, but Denver will end up getting that other wild card spot.
So for my wild card picks, I'm going to go with Jacksonville Jaguars. These are going to be a little out of order, but I do like Jacksonville as well. I just don't think they win the division, but I think they can pull off a wild card spot, no problem. Then I'm going to go with the Chargers down in LA.
Okay.
And then I'm Super Bowl runner-up New England. I think they pull off that last spot. Obviously, we could be wrong. You never know. Parity ensues once the season starts. So I know their schedule was a little on the easy side last year. Will be a lot tougher this year. So, could leave the door open for Baltimore or Pittsburgh, but I just don't see it from either of those teams this year. So those would be my 3 picks.
Okay. Now let's get into who do we think is going to win the AFC Conference. I think it's going to be very close, tight games all the way to the playoffs and who's going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. But I'm going to go with the sleeper, the dark horse, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Although the betting favorite right now is Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, I'm still going to pick the Jaguars. I think they're going to do well enough, and they're gonna take it to second-year head coach Cohen's first Super Bowl party and get an opportunity to play in the conference championship.
Well, for everyone's sake outside of Duval County, we all hope that does not happen, so we don't have to hear that stupid chant. So, and I'm not going to say it. I knew I shouldn't have brought it up.
I don't even live in Duval, so that's what makes it even funnier. There's a running joke on the radio station.
They probably can hear you.
Yeah. There's a running joke on the radio station here, in the sports radio station, where they do a commercial and the guy goes, Duval, and the other host says, you don't even live in Duval. You live in St. John's, you idiot. It was just so funny.
It's perfect. They're all idiots down there.
Yeah, so who's your conference
Just
champion?
kidding. Don't come at me. So, I mean, Buffalo. It has to be Buffalo. It's their year, Matt. It's their year.
Okay. All right. Let's jump over to the NFC and talk about who we predict will be our division winners. So starting off with what I think is the easiest division and easiest pick here, and I mentioned this team earlier, we're going to start off with the NFC East. This team has the easiest schedule on paper. They've got plenty of talent, great head coach. They've won a Super Bowl. They've got Jalen Hurts, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Kenny, over to you. Who do you think? The NFC East.
Well, the more I look at it and the more I think about it, it's a tough one. It probably will be the Eagles. But I'm going to say, even though I chose them as the most overrated team because they are, I'm going to say Dallas Cowboys. I think they do play a little better on defense this year, and they're able to eke it out. It'll be close, who knows, but I'm going to say the Cowboys, but that's as far as they're going to get. Go ahead.
All right. So next, let's move to the NFC North. I think this is going to be a very improved team this year, and I'm going to go with now the highest paid running back in Jamar Gibbs and the Detroit Lions. I think they're going to take over and play much better this year and win the NFC North.
Okay. That's a good pick, Matt. That's a good pick. And I would like to concur with that, but I won't.
Of course not.
I'm going to say the Chicago Bears. I know this is probably a crazy pick, but I don't know. I just feel like it's their year to win the division. I don't even remember who won the division last year. Let me go back to last year. That probably helped me with my picks here.
Pretty sure it was the Bears.
They won the division. I think they'll win it again. I just don't see them coming down anytime soon. So let's go with the Bears.
Okay. Now we're going to head down to the deep south where my Atlanta Falcons are.
I'm not
going to pick the Falcons for the NFC South. I'm going to say it's going to be a close tie. It's a very strong possibility for the Carolina Panthers to repeat. But even though I'm saying that the Buccaneers are doomed to fail, they're going to figure it out, and Baker Mayfield is going to bring them back to the playoffs, and they're going to win the division. So I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Bucs for the NFC South.
And I'm going to disagree with you and go with the Carolina Panthers. I think they get it done again. I think they'll be more improved this year. They'll, as anyone can see, that division was won by a losing record, but I think they'll have a winning record this year and take that division once again.
All right. Lastly is going to be the NFC West. And to me, this is the easiest pick for the West of the West teams is by picking the Rams. They are the fan favorite. They've got the defensive player of the year in a trade. Their offense is stacked, right? They got Matthew Stafford, who's still a little old, but he can still sling it. They got Puka Nacua, one of the best receivers in the country. And the division is going to be easy for them to win this year. One, because Seattle lost a bunch of defensive players, and San Francisco, I don't even know if they're going to be healthy going into the season. So I think this is an easy pick going with the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, it seems like that power station out in San Fran's really done a number out there. We got the head coach that had a car accident, but nobody knew about it because they didn't want to tell anybody for some reason, even though it wasn't his fault. Like that story is just, I don't know, is wild. I listened to it a lot, talked about on the Dan Patrick show, and they were just like every day wondering, what is going on in San Fran. So for me, again, it like you said, it'll be the Rams. The Rams are going to win that division. It'll be close. Like it was close last year. Seattle, like you mentioned, is going to be probably most likely going to be a little down from last year. They may have exceeded expectations a little last year, thanks to JSN. Was a little under the radar, I guess. Sam Darnold was. I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
No one really expected him to do much, and he thrived in that. He's like, okay, hold my beer and watch me throw dimes and lead my team.
Let me show you something.
Super Bowl championship. But yeah, they'll have a bit of a come back down to earth moment this year, and the Rams will take advantage as they did when they took Garrett away from the Browns. And there's talk of Sam Darnold coming back. So if that happens, I mean, just lock it in. So
Sam Darnold plays on the Seattle Seahawks. Who are you talking about?
Who did I say?
Aaron Donald.
Aaron
Donald
Aaron
coming
Donald.
back to the Rams. Yeah. They're
okay,
saying, he looks good in practice. Why is he practicing? The guy's still retired. He's coming back. He's out there practicing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was going to say cut that
back
out, but just leave it in because I mess up names occasionally too. So
yeah. Well, at least you can pronounce them. I can't pronounce names. All right, so let's move on to the wild card for the NFC. So out of the 4 divisions, 3 teams that are going to make the wild card. My picks are, this is going to be Seattle Seahawks returning, defending champs, Super Bowl. Green Bay Packers, I think that Detroit's going to edge them out with the conference championship, but the Green Bay Packers are right there. They're a really good team. And then the San Francisco 49ers, they're going to get over their injuries and they're going to sneak into the playoffs. So those are my 3 wild cards.
All right. Well, I will say, I'm going to go with Green Bay, Detroit. I think they're going to get 3 teams and make the playoffs out of that division. And then last but not least, the Philadelphia Eagles because of that schedule, as you mentioned before.
You mean the Seattle Seahawks? I mean, no, sorry. You're saying the Philadelphia Eagles aren't going to win their division.
No, I picked Dallas. So
Dallas, right. And then the Eagles are going to pull up with the wild card. Okay, got it.
Yeah, with the wild card. Yeah, so we'll go with, like I said, Philly, Green Bay, and Detroit. Will be those wild card spots.
All right, now let's predict who our conference champion that's going to take them to the Super Bowl. This is an easy pick for me. I think it's going to be the Rams. The Rams are going to edge out the Seattle Seahawks, and they're going to win the division this time and go to the Super Bowl representing the NFC.
Yeah, same here. I got the same pick, the Rams winning that, like like I said, the division, and then moving on and winning the conference championship. I believe they're a little above everybody else. Coaching, quarterback play, wide receivers, running backs. They just need to improve their defense, which they, like we said, they picked up Myles Garrett, and then with Sam Aaron Donald coming back. Yeah, with old Ron Donald coming back, potentially they're a lock for the Super Bowl. So
Now we're going to hear from our sponsor, Paco's Powder Coating, for our mid-episode commercial break. I'm actually going to go to the bathroom, so.
Okay.
Be right back.
Hurry up, Matt. I'm getting hungry. I have to grab some snacks or something. I haven't had breakfast. No break. I've not broken my fast other than coffee. And to me, it doesn't count.
I'm going to get some water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my fault you didn't eat before you joined the podcast. You should have done that. It's lunchtime for me. It's 1:30 here.
Got some ham and pineapple leftover pizza from Whole Foods.
Okay.
See my Pennsylvania accent. Well, you got my crushed red pepper, Matt. Damn it.
Crushed red pepper. You better get it.
Yeah. I don't eat pizza without crushed red pepper. I like a little kick. Did you ever watch The Hawk, Will Ferrell show on Netflix?
Yeah, I watched it.
You watched every episode? Finished it?
Yes, I watched every episode. I finished it.
Damn, Matt. How do you ever get time to do stuff like that? Right. Yeah, I finished it too. Did you like it?
Same thing as you. I'm not playing Red Dead Redemption 50 million times.
I haven't played anything but golf recently. But I haven't played anything in probably almost a week.
Do you want me to wait till you're done eating?
Well, I mean, was it not good to eat on camera?
I don't care what you do. Do whatever you want.
Okay. Anyway,
my helmet fell.
We can get back to it.
Can't tighten it anymore. It's as tight as it'll go.
That's what she said.
You want me to start back?
Yeah. I don't give a shit.
All right. Welcome back to Life on Record. Hope you enjoyed the commercial break. Next, we're going to talk about our award predictions. So we're going to go over who we believe is going to be the MVP this year, the Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offense and Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Coach of the Year. Plus, a bonus, Comeback Player of the Year. All right, Kenny, I'm going to start off. To me, this is an easy one. I think Josh Allen, and he is the fan favorite to win MVP of the year. What do you think?
Well, didn't know that was an award, MVP of the year, but I guess it is.
Sorry, I think Josh Allen's going to be MVP, most valuable player in the NFL season this year.
Yeah, same here, Josh Allen. I mean, didn't he win the MVP last year?
I think he is the reigning MVP.
Yeah,
maybe.
I can't even remember yesterday, much less last year. But yeah, I would say this year, Josh Allen for sure.
Matt Stafford won the MVP last year, not Josh Allen. It was
what?
Matt Stafford. Yeah, Matt Stafford won the MVP last year.
Yeah.
My helmet keeps falling.
That's a fucking joke. I mean, he played well. Don't get me wrong.
It was last year.
Well, whoever votes for it needs to be fired.
That was.
And what's fucked up about these awards? We don't really get like an award show, or they just kind of announce them randomly after the season's over. And to me, it kind of takes a little luster out of it. That's the right word.
Maybe. All right, next, Offensive Player of the Year. For me, it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs from the Detroit Lions. With David Montgomery gone, I think he's going to have
Jahmyr Gibbs? You said Jamar.
God.
Wait, didn't he go to Alabama, Matt? And you still...
Yeah, it's Jahmyr. I'll say it again. Jesus fucking
No,
Christ.
Leave that in there.
No, I'm not. I'm going to edit it.
Jamar...
All right, so for my...
Ja'Marr Chase.
I gotta fix my microphone anyways. It just keeps falling. It just keeps slowly
the microphone's
falling.
the problem. Carpenter never blames his tools.
Can't even loosen it or tighten it. I can't do anything.
Can you throw it in the trash, man?
I've tightened it so much I can't even loosen it. And it still moves. My stand is just shitty. I think I'm just gonna get a different stand, one of those boom ones that I can just raise and lower myself.
Yeah.
This is just putting too much weight on it. That's what it is. Maybe that'll hold now.
Maybe.
Still a little high, but
that's what I said.
I'll just leave it right there. Okay. So for Offensive Player of the Year, Jahmyr Gibbs from the Detroit Lions. With David Montgomery gone, he's going to get more touchdowns, more carries, more catches. I think he's going to pull it in for Offensive Player of the Year.
What's a travesty is the fact that Josh Allen didn't win VP or Offensive Player of the Year last year. I don't know. Maybe I'm just...
No, he did not.
Maybe I'm too close to it. Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going to say someone. I'm trying to think. I mean, last year, I mean, I was on this guy, but I don't think a lot of people expected him to produce as much as he did because of his quarterback. That was Jackson Smith-Njigba. I had him on my fantasy team, and he single-handedly led me to a runner-up in the championship.
You mean playoff
game.
Appearance?
Well, whatever. I mean, I was runner-up.
You made the playoffs.
I was in the championship game.
Nobody
that counts
remembers.
For something.
Nobody remembers who got second place.
I remember because it was me, fool. So, Offensive Player of the Year this year, it's kind of tough. And doing this before the season starts, predicting what we think. I mean, I could just say somebody. Let's go with no one other than Jamar Chase. Let's go with Jamar Chase.
Okay, Jamar Chase. I think it's a good pick.
The Bengals, like I said earlier, will have
lots of players you can go with.
Yeah, better year, and they're going to give it to my boy Jamar Chase.
Okay. All right, Defensive Player of the Year. I think this is a no-brainer. Easy, very, very, very easy pick. And it's going to be the new best defensive player on the Rams team. And hopefully they bring back Aaron Donald as well and help the Rams defense. But it's going to be Myles Garrett. Easily, hands down, Defensive Player of the Year.
So back-to-back Defensive Players of the Year.
Mm-hmm. I think so, yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good pick. And you know what? In the sake of me having to run through all these teams and try to choose someone, I'm just going to jump on that bandwagon and say Myles Garrett.
Jump on the hype train.
Jump on Myles Garrett's back as he carries them to a possible Super Bowl.
Okay. Next is Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I'm going to go with Jeremiah Love from the Arizona Cardinals. New coach. He's going to be the bell cow lead running back there. He's going to get lots of opportunities. And I think he's going to bring it home for the old Cardinals. He's going to be a good fantasy football pick, too, depending on where people draft him. But hopefully they don't draft him too early. But, yeah, I think he'll be the Offensive Rookie of the Year this year.
Wow. I didn't see that. But that's a good pickup. Last year's Offensive Rookie of the Year was McMillan out in Carolina. Helped them to win that division. But this year, I haven't looked into too many of the rookies, so I'm not too keen on those. But, so, let me see. Well, if it's not Jeremiah Love down in Arizona, it could possibly be Jordan Tyson for the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
So he'll
wide
come
receiver in New Orleans.
Yeah, he'll come in and help out Chris Olave down there as they desperately need more players. And since I chose them as something earlier, I can't remember what my sleeper team or something.
Sleeper team, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jordan Tyson.
Okay. Now let's do Defensive Rookie of the Year. This one might be really hard for you because, again, you're not paying attention to the rookies and who's out there. But I think it's going to be the number 2 pick that was in the NFL draft out of Texas Tech, and that's going to be David Bailey, who's playing for the Jets. I think he will be the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He'll get a lot of sacks. He'll get a lot of, tackles behind the line of scrimmage. I think he's going to be a great asset for the Jets this year and win that Defensive Rookie of the Year.
That's a good pick, and I'm looking at guys right now, and I can't disagree with that, Matt. I'm big on Texas Tech in college football as far as, taking down that Big 12. But, yeah, great. They always put out, seems like, some really good defensive players. And I'll go with David Bailey as well. I mean, not a lot's expected to happen with the Jets this year, but their defense always seems to come with it. So,
okay. All right. Next, we're going to go with the coach of the year. And I'm going to go with the current fan favorite, Super Bowl winning coach that has moved on to the Giants, and John Harbaugh. I think he has a great opportunity to win coach of the year. He's got a great young quarterback, great young running back, one of the best wide receivers in the country. So I think the New York Giants are going to give him the coach of the year this year.
Well, the Giants definitely could give him coach of the year. The NFL won't, but
I'm just saying the team is going to play well enough that he is going to get coach of the year.
Okay. I mean, that's a decent pick. Not bad. Well, I'm going to go with someone that I guess I'm going to stick with a specific theme here and go with what's his name in Carolina, and Dave Canales.
Okay, that's a good pick.
Yeah, I'm on Carolina, so I might as well stick with them. So yeah, they'll be improved. They'll win more games. They'll have a winning record. They'll make the playoffs again and may pick up a playoff win. Now, I think I could be wrong, but I think this is all based on regular season. These are regular season awards. So that obviously playoff wins won't really matter, but give me Canales.
Okay. And last but not least, the comeback player of the year for our bonus round. I'm going to go with guy that got hurt, ACL tear that ended his 2025 season earlier, and one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and Patrick Mahomes. I think he is going to be the comeback player of the year. He's going to play really well this year as long as his knee holds out, and he is going to prove all the haters wrong.
Yeah, that's a good pick, Matt. I mean, they look like hot garbage at times last year. And so there is a big chance for him to have that comeback this year. So that's a good pick. I'm going to go with someone I mentioned earlier, and one Aaron Donald. I do think he comes back, and I do think he performs at the same level he performed at a few years ago. And, with Miles, you can't block both Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald. So
exactly.
I mean, you can't even block either one of them individually, much less if they're both on the same line. It's going to be utter domination. So I'm going to go with Donald as my comeback player of the year. He came back from the couch. So,
all right, good selection there, Kenny. It's time for our commercial break. We want to give a shout out to Paco's Powder Coating. These guys do great work and deliver on time. If you've got wheels, parts, furniture, recreation equipment, or military and first responder gear, and want to upgrade or restore it, they do high-quality powder coating that lasts. Mention Life on Record when you call, email, or stop by for 10% off. Check them out at pacospowdercoating.com. All right, back to the show. Next, we're going to talk about NFL pet peeves. Let's complain for a few minutes, Kenny.
Yeah, I'm good at it.
What is your number one pet peeve for the NFL?
Ooh. Well, probably Thursday night games. It's good to get that game, I guess, for your fix, for your football fix. But it's not good for the players. I'm not a player, so I just, from the standpoint of playing on Sunday and then turning around and just having no time to really recuperate. It has to be really taxing on the body to do that. Teams usually don't play very well on offense. A lot of these games. Now there are exceptions. It happens, but a lot of times it just it takes longer for teams to implement that game plan, and so they have a short week, and so they just kind of throw shit together and hope it sticks, and a lot of times these games just end up being defensive battles, which I enjoy those as well, but for the player safety, and if I was a betting man, which I am, it's not good for gambling. It's really hard to decide which way the game's going to go. So mine's Thursday night football games. And this year, guess what, Matt? We get a Wednesday game. Are you excited? Fucking Wednesday.
Wow.
I think the first game of the year is on a Wednesday. I don't know if I haven't looked at the schedule as a whole, so I don't know if it's every week we're going to get a Wednesday game. But the very first week of the game or of the season, very first game of the season, I should say, is the rematch of the Super Bowl, which, NFL tends to do, which I love that. But it's on Wednesday, September 9th.
Definitely won't be competing against anything else that night.
No. Look, I'll be
For TV
watching
time.
like everybody else. I have fantasy football players.
Are you going to start players that are going to be playing that Wednesday night?
Probably not, man.
I mean, if you have a choice, like if they're your starter.
We're recording this before we've drafted our teams, so I have no idea. But it just depends. It really depends. If I have somebody that I feel better about that's playing on Sunday, then I'll use them. And sometimes, I just may, it's first time ever happening. I may just throw them in there, leave them in there or something. But yeah. I'm just not a fan of midweek games in general. So,
okay. I think my biggest pet peeves is referee reviews. Not that they take too long. It doesn't have anything to do with that. They're just very inconsistent.
Okay.
Especially when I'm like, why isn't this play getting reviewed? And it's like, oh, it's not reviewable. Or it's at a point in the game where the referees just didn't think it needed to be reviewed. And then when they actually do
snap
review
the ball
something,
too quickly.
Right, exactly.
It's so dumb.
And so no review. And it just to me, it's just not consistent. You'll have times where, the review is reviewed in slow motion, but then when they play it in real time, there's a different kind of level of reaction. And the whole NFL's thing, the rule where it's not a catch unless you catch it, make a few football moves or complete your go to the ground, whether it's inbounds or out of bounds. And it's just, a lot of it is just very inconsistent, and it needs to be better controlled. Sometimes the referees make a lot of bad calls, and those aren't reviewed. Like, why isn't somebody reviewing the referee's review? Like, it's just, to me, it's like they're making a call and it's like, doesn't make any sense, and then you hear a week later or a few days later, it was like, oh, the NFL Referee Association or whoever it is, they come out and say, oh, that was a bad call. Okay. Is the referee being fined? Like they fine the players? Is that person getting fired the next year because they made 7 bad calls throughout the season? Whatever it is, I just think it needs to improve.
Yeah, for sure, Matt. Great point. And I agree with you. I mean, I'll definitely put that on my list as a pet peeve. Not my number one, obviously, but yeah, for sure. It's annoying. Inconsistency for sure. And also something you didn't mention, something one of my friends has mentioned before, and it's, some of these referees are freaking 60, 70 years old. Like, why are you out there? Like, if you can't keep up with the players, which, that's understandable, I guess. But if you're falling down or you're just too old. I mean, come on. I think we can get some younger referees. I don't think you see it as much anymore as maybe some other sports, but it does tend to, like, some of these guys will be referees for 30 years. That's a little, it's a little much. Once you get to your 60s, you shouldn't be out there.
Yep. And one thing, and I don't know about this, whether it's true or not, I have no idea, but I hope there's some kind of requirement every year where they have to do an eye test and a hearing test. I'm hoping they're doing that. If they're not, get off of your fucking high horse, you referees, and make sure that the referees are tested every year. And maybe there should be a physical test. Can they run up and down the field? Can they, throw the flag in a consistent manner, right?
Not hit somebody in the
eyeball.
I don't
know. Maybe they are. Maybe they are. Maybe there is a test that they have to do every year or twice a year or whatever it is.
Probably.
Hopefully they're doing that, and I would think they are. But if they're not, I hope that fucking changes because it's ridiculous half the time. All right, my number 2 pet peeve more or less has to do because I'm a fan, and it's these fan overreactions after the first game of the season where, we dominated. We're going to win the division. We're going to beat everybody. And it's just like, you won one game, okay? Have you seen the movie Any Given Sunday? Anything can fucking happen, when you're playing a game. So stop overreacting. I guarantee you week 1, the Cowboys probably will win, and then their fans will be, we're the best team in the country. We're going to win the Super Bowl. We're going to do this. I guarantee you. And then when they fall on their face, they're going to be all sad again.
Yeah, and they are starting the season on Sunday Night Football at the Giants, which is a game they should win. So, yeah, for sure. I mean, it happens every year. I tend to take my overreactions to fantasy football, and I'll drop players after a couple of weeks just because I'm tired of their bullshit. But I would say of late I haven't done that so much because I've learned my lesson. It takes some time to realize, especially if you're new to the sport, that a lot of teams will use the first 2 or 3 weeks as their preseason because they could have a veteran quarterback or just a core crew of guys that have played for a while now and that didn't get any reps in preseason. So they treat it kind of like a preseason. They're not too worried if they really win or lose the first couple of weeks. It's more about establishing what they're going to do long term and just kind of, get everybody in the motions of the season, and then things start really ramping up after like week, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, definitely if your team wins or loses week 1, it's okay. And plus there's an extra game since a few years ago. And of course talk of, 18th week adding an extra game. So that would even prolong everything. And so, yeah, just have some patience, learn to have some patience and take actions around week 3 or 4, so.
All right, good call. All right, next we're going to go through some fan favorite lists. This isn't really our opinion. This is consensus across fans, mostly just informational. And if we have any thoughts on it, we'll share those thoughts. But we're going to go through fan favorites next. So favorite stadium, it kind of leans largely on Lambeau Field. Green Bay Packers are a team that's owned by the fans. It always tops the list. SoFi Stadium is always frequently high there as well. The 49ers, or excuse me, not 49ers, where the Rams play.
Yeah, Rams.
Los Angeles. Yep. And then there's always a few other stadiums out there like US Bank Stadium where the Minnesota Vikings play. But as of right now, the fan favorite is still Lambeau Field. I haven't been there. I'm sure it'll be great to go there one day, but I always find that interesting. So best uniform. This one, I don't understand.
Hey, Matt, let me stop you for a second here. So let's cite that.
You want to just skip this part?
No. I just want you to cite where you're getting this information from because you didn't do that, and
Yeah, sure. If that's what you want me to do.
Well, yeah, like who's saying that this is the favorite stadium and the best uniform? Is this coming from Sports Illustrated? Is this coming from www.
Yeah, I'll give that information. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I'll give the source.
Yeah, it'd be helpful.
So I'll just cut this part out and just add it in.
No, that's fine.
All right. So the fan favorite stadium is based off of fan voting, and that came from the Pro Football Network. So they polled a bunch of fans, and that was their vote for favorite stadium was Lambeau Field. So next up is best uniform. For best uniform, this comes from Sports Illustrated. These are fan voted, and how many they had over 110,000 votes. And the winner was, drumroll, best NFL uniform is the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, interesting.
I think it's a lot of it has to do with the black and gold, the fleur de lis on the uniform. But yeah, they got the fan vote with over 110,000 votes in Sports Illustrated.
Okay. Not a big surprise there. Our old high school alma mater was black and gold. My daughter's high school alma mater is black and gold. Seems to be a favorite among many places. I thought maybe you might say the Steelers. That's a big, and I like their, kind of simplistic, that black and yellow in their instance. Maybe they say gold. I don't know, but black and yellow is that stupid song, Black and Yellow. But yeah, okay, that's no surprise there.
Okay. Next is greatest coach, and this is all coming from CBS Sports. So fan votes for greatest coach of all time. It's actually not a tie, but a very close two-horse race between Vince Lombardi, a Super Bowl winning coach, 5 NFL titles in 7 years with Green Bay. He's known as the archetype of great coach, right? It's got a lot of quotes that people use today, whether it's within sports or out. And then obviously in our era, Bill Belichick, the modern era, 6 Super Bowl rings for this head coach and one of the most dominant dynasties in modern NFL. Mm-hmm. And if we had to pick, there is a winner though between these two. Like I said, it was very close. But what do you think? Who do you think the winner was in the fan poll?
For greatest coach of all time?
Yeah, Vince Lombardi or Bill Belichick. Those are the top 2. And then obviously there was a number 1.
Belichick, I guess, would be my answer.
Yeah, Belichick, because it's more recent. But if you looked at who voted and through the demographics, the older folks that voted had Vince Lombardi by far. And then as you got to the younger categories in the fan poll, it was Bill Belichick. But Bill Belichick did get the most votes.
Okay. And I didn't see this, didn't vote in it. However, I would throw in Mike Shanahan. What's his name? Kyle's dad?
Yeah. Kyle Shanahan's father?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Just for led the Broncos to 2 Super Bowls. And not only that, the coaches that have spawned from him, offensive coordinators and that have become head coaches, just that alone says a lot. His philosophy of doing things, I think, has had a huge impact on today's NFL. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Okay. Again, similar poll from CBS Sports. Greatest quarterback of all time. It wasn't close. The fan poll was very high leaning on Tom Brady. And based off of the age groups on this poll, baby boomers, millennials, and Gen Xers all independently ranked Tom Brady as the greatest NFL quarterback of all time, with over 60% of the respondents preferring him over Joe Montana, which is, very interesting. But his resume speaks for itself. Most games won in NFL history, most career passing yards, most touchdown passes, 7 championships, 5 Super Bowl MVPs. So, no one's going to get close to those records. Maybe current quarterbacks in the NFL might one day, but as of right now, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback to ever play.
Yeah, and he had Super Bowl with 2 different teams. I mean, that's really, really rare. In the
NFL, yep.
I'm sure maybe it's happened before. Quarterbacks won Super Bowl one team and leaves, goes to another team, wins the Super Bowl. I don't, out the top of my head, I can't think of it, but yeah. So I thought, when he went to Tampa Bay, I thought for sure it'd be like, when any other great quarterback left their team that they won a Super Bowl or multiple Super Bowls with, they just kind of went into obscurity. But he had that one last. Well, he stayed on a season after, but yeah, that one last Super Bowl, and yeah, showed why he is the best.
Well, there's only been 2 quarterbacks in history in the NFL to win 2 Super Bowls
Okay.
on 2 different teams.
Okay.
Tom Brady and number 1. That's the first one. The second one's pretty easy. You should get it, knowing that you live in Denver and the Broncos.
Oh, yeah,
you should
yeah.
get this one.
I forgot. Peyton Manning. Yeah.
Big forehead Peyton Manning, Indianapolis Colts and Denver Broncos.
The forehead.
The forehead.
He's the forehead.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I totally forgot about that. But yeah, I knew it had to be something that was rarely done because nothing really stood out. But yeah, of course, I forgot about that.
All right, so for fan voting on best rivalry, and this actually comes from 2 different polls, one from Sports Illustrated, the other one from CBS Sports. Notice the trend there, Sports Illustrated, CBS Sports is where we're getting our polls from. So they had 2 different teams. So the first one, Sports Illustrated, polled fans, NFL fans, and they said the best rivalry is the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. According to the NFL, it is the longest running rivalry dating back to 1921. And often called NFL's greatest rivalry by fans and media. So that's the one I was thinking of, kind of the NFC North, the old school, Super Bowl I at the beginning of the era before, the NFC and the AFC were kind of separate leagues back then. So I can see why that could be considered the greatest rivalry. And then CBS Sports polled fans, and this is more of a newer generation. So the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, they're ranked as the NFL's top divisional rivalry by CBS Sports. Obviously, there's a big dislike between the Cowboys and the Eagles fan bases, and it's usually a playoff potential game for them when they play each other. So yeah, a couple of best rivalries in the NFL.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Next is best fan base. Obviously, this is all based off of fan voting, but it kind of comes down to 4 teams for fan base. Number 1 is really easy. Green Bay Packers, again, owned by the fans. So I could see why they have one of the best fan bases. It's a small market league, but they do go back generations. Fans have they've owned season tickets for a very long time. It's hard to get them. Their games all sell out. So big fan base there. Number 2 is the Buffalo Bills. They're one of the most liked fan bases in the NFL, even going back several decades. You've probably heard of the Bills Mafia. They do a lot of charity work for their fans and their communities in Buffalo. Again, a little bit smaller market team. Mm-hmm. Then we get into some of the more recent or larger America's teams where you have Kansas City Chiefs, who've won a lot of Super Bowls, and the Dallas Cowboys. They do have 2 of the largest fan bases where they have fans all over the world. They have the most engagement on social media. They have the most web traffic on their sites and the most attendance at their games. And Dallas has been number 1 in the NFL for attendance every single season since it became a team, which is crazy. Like, they are number 1 in attendance every single year. So that leans heavily on why they have one of the best fan bases.
Well, their stadium holds a lot of people too.
Yeah, it does. So that could be a reason why I wouldn't so double
100 and some thousand people.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost double of a lot of other stadiums. And then last but not least, rounding out the top 5 is the New Orleans Saints, which I didn't really get this, but they have a really strong fan base. They the fans buy a lot of their products. They have gone through a lot of turmoil down in New Orleans, from the hurricane to the stadium having to be rebuilt to, Drew Brees winning a Super Bowl there, and just, where they weren't good at all, where fans wore sacks over their heads, just like, paper bags over their heads, just like they did in Cleveland. But the fan base is pretty strong in New Orleans. So that rounds out the top 5 in fan bases.
Nice. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, cool, right? All right, next we're going to get into some hot takes. So we've got some questions, and Kenny and I are kind of going to go back and forth on this, but we're going to start out with some predictions on these hot takes. First one is 2 rookie quarterbacks to make the playoffs. So there were 10 quarterbacks drafted in the 2026 NFL draft. Of those 10, you just got to pick 2 that are going to make it to the playoffs. So, Kenny, I'll start with you. 2 rookie quarterbacks of the 10 that will make the playoffs for sure. Highest probability you think will make the playoffs.
Okay, so I'm going to go with a couple of guys who most likely, barring some, craziness, will not even step on the field this year. And that's going to be one Garrett Nussmeier in Kansas City. Wait, first of all, let's cut this. Because I don't think I had Kansas City making the playoffs. So I can't say him.
I thought you had them winning the wild card or something.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
No.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I don't know.
Let me look at that's why I was like, shit. As soon as I said that, let me look at the conferences again. Because I had Denver, Houston, Jacksonville. Well, let's just do this. Well, it should be 7 teams. So Denver, Houston, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Buffalo. Did I say Kansas? It would have been Kansas City. I didn't say New England. I didn't say any. I only chose Bengals from the AFC North, right? I didn't choose Pittsburgh or Baltimore, I don't think. Or did I choose Baltimore? Shit. Can you check you can't check the transcript right now. We should have wrote this down. Damn it, I don't remember my wild card picks.
I have all mine written down. I don't know why you didn't.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. Let's see. Oh, this makes it easy then. Because I did choose the Eagles.
Yes,
they have a rookie quarterback. So I'll go with him. And shit, I got to pick 2?
Yes.
Well, there may not be 2. Okay. Let's start it here. You could cut that and then. Okay, so 2 rookie quarterbacks, that make the playoffs. And they shouldn't even get on the field this year, but they will be on a playoff team. First one is Cole Payton, the Eagles. He was a 5th-round pick, and he will be on the team when they make the playoffs, but won't be on the field, barring some.
Okay, so you're saying he won't get cut. He got drafted in the 5th round, so you can say they're going to keep him, and and then the Eagles will make the playoffs, so he'll be on the team.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, as long as he's still on the team, doesn't get cut. I don't know who the backups are, so it's a good pick though.
Yeah, and then next would be Garrett Nussmeier, Kansas City Chiefs. Can't remember if I chose the Chiefs to make the playoffs.
Well, you better hope you did, otherwise your pick makes no sense whatsoever.
And honestly, out of all these rookie quarterbacks, I could see where none of them play in the playoffs. A lot of them are on teams that aren't predicted. Yeah, this is a tough question because a lot of these rookie quarterbacks are on teams that aren't going to make the playoffs, and some are on teams that, one, they may not even be on the roster once training camp's over. So it's kind of tough. And third, I don't remember who I picked for my wild card picks. So there's that. But who are you? I'm anxious to see this obviously isn't the best 2 rookie quarterbacks because they're on teams that aren't going to make the playoffs. But so who do you say, Matt?
Yeah, this is actually really easy for me. And once you hear it, you're going to be like, dang, man, I should have thought about that. All right, number one, really easy. I don't know how much this year he's going to get to play. He may get to play some, depends on how Matthew Stafford stays up health-wise. But Ty Simpson, he's going to be on the Rams. Yeah. He was drafted in the 1st round. I have the Rams going to
I forgot about
in their conference championship. So I think the Rams are going to lead potentially to a Super Bowl hopeful. Ty Simpson, again, whether he plays or not, it just depends. But I think, number one, easiest rookie quarterback to make the playoffs. And number 2, I'm going to go with who you said because I did pick the Eagles to win their division. and in Cole Payton. And yes, I believe he is going to still be on the team, even though he was drafted in the 5th round. He is going to make the team. He's from North Dakota State. He's a left-handed thrower. He's a big guy, 6'3", 230 pounds. Yeah, okay. He's a big guy. He was the Nebraska Gatorade Player of the Year. He had really good seasons at North Dakota State. There's a reason why he's there. He's going to be Jalen Hurts' backup. So if anything happens to Jalen Hurts, I think he may get some opportunities, especially in the preseason. He's going to get some opportunities. But those are my 2 picks. Next, we're going to go with the defending division champion that misses the playoffs. And you will probably disagree with this, but I'm going to go with the softest division, the NFC South, and the team that barely, with a losing record, was successful, although they played better at the end of the year, with an 8-9 winning record, or not winning record, but they won their division. And the Carolina Panthers, they are not going to make the playoffs this year. They're going to miss the playoffs.
Wow, we have some differing views for sure.
Yeah. And when I'm right, we'll have a podcast and we'll come on here and go, Matt, you were right. I can't believe it. I should have listened to you.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Saints are going to play better. The Buccaneers are going to be better. Atlanta's going to play better.
Yeah, maybe. We made all these picks blindly, so not knowing what the other brother chose.
Mm-hmm.
But division winner that won't make the playoffs, I'm going to say, which I think I picked all these division winners to make the playoffs already, so. No, I did not. Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think New England as well. I don't think I chose them to make the playoffs. So, but I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh. New England has a better chance. Just looking at their team as a whole, coaching, all that jazz. I'm just gonna go with Pittsburgh. That's my pick, and I'm sticking with it.
Okay. All right. So next is a running back that wins the MVP. So we already actually picked our MVPs, which were quarterbacks, but let's just say that a running back is going to win the MVP. And if a running back had to win, although I did pick Gibbs to win the Offensive Player of the Year, if I was going to go with an MVP for a running back, I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson from the Falcons. He led the NFL last year in 2,498 yards from scrimmage. He's going to have even more workload this year with Kevin Stefanski as the head coach there in Atlanta. Yeah, and he has a track record for leading running backs and runners and receivers, and that's what Bijan Robinson is. I think if anybody was going to win the MVP and it not be a quarterback, I think he has the biggest opportunity to do that down there in Atlanta.
Yeah, Matt, and this is where we actually agree. Although I don't think a running back will ever win the MVP again. It's become a quarterback award for many years now. Will remain that way. But like you said, if anyone was to win it, it could be good old Bijan Robinson.
Okay. Next is coaches that won't finish the season. So let's just give one coach that's not going to finish the season. I think this one is almost an easy pick, at least for me. This team was 3-14 last year. They're probably going to start out very terrible, although I am calling that they'll have the Defensive Player of the Year. And why? Because he's probably going to be the only person out there making any tackles, because he's probably the best player on their team as a rookie. But I'm going to go with Aaron Glenn and the Jets. I think he's going to get fired, and he won't be finishing the season with the Jets.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I have another coach that could possibly be sent packing, but probably would be at the end of the year if things don't go the way I think they will this year. And that's, hold on, let me pull up his name. Is Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. If things don't go,
Cincinnati doesn't make the playoffs, he's probably out.
Yeah. So if things go awry in Cincinnati, I think Taylor's gone, but the Jets will suck again. So I'm
suck again.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm with you on what's his name.
They're putting all their money on Geno Smith.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn,
he barely got a one-year contract. The Raiders were like, "See you later. We're going to draft a quarterback," and then sign, the the old, I wouldn't say old because he's not as old as Aaron Rodgers, but they got Kirk Cousins, who injury plague had the big contract with Atlanta, and then he got surpassed by a rookie who's now hurt, and then now they got Tua Tagovailoa down in Atlanta, who's just going to be, here's what's going to be, Kenny, it's going to be Tua handing off to Robinson, Tua dumping it off to Robinson. Remember what Tua did with A-Chain in Miami? It's going to be like that in Atlanta, except for, honestly, very possible that Bijan could get 2,800, close to 3,000 yards. Because if Tua's going to be the quarterback, he's going to hand it off and toss, short pass, hand it off, short pass, hand it off, short pass. I mean, come on, man. You can see it already. It's going to happen.
Yeah, let's hope for Robinson's sake that doesn't wear him out down the stretch. But
yeah,
maybe they're able to mix it in.
They'll be careful.
They have some, they got some other
weapons that they can throw the ball to. Yeah,
and
exactly.
they have a lot of weapons there. So hopefully that doesn't happen. So yeah.
All right. So what's the one team that's going to go from last place to first place? And I think I mentioned it earlier, didn't necessarily call this out, but I think, again, they're going to have the offensive player of the year in Jamar Gibbs. That's going to be the Detroit Lions in the NFC North. I think they were in last place last year because they just did not play well, and they're going to jump back up into first place and win their division. They got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's one of the best receivers in the NFL, and luckily I have him as a keeper in one of my leagues, so happy to keep him again this year. But I think health-wise, as long as Detroit stays focused on what they need to do, they're going to, win the division, and they're going to go from first to last, or last to first.
Yeah, although I don't agree with that happening, they definitely have the best chance out of all the last place teams from a year ago. So I'll agree with you on that one. I do remember I picked the Bears to win this division.
Yep.
But Detroit, out of all the teams, Arizona, New Orleans, New York Giants, Raiders, Titans, Browns, and Jets, they should be the favorite to have a bounce back year in Detroit and take that league back. So,
okay. Next, we're going to play our game very similar to what we did for college football. We're going to go with NFL teams that are either contender, pretender, or too early to tell. So if they're not a contender or a pretender, they're going to be a too early to tell. So this one will start out, I'll throw you a softball, easy one. Should be able to hit this one out of the park. Los Angeles Rams. Kenny?
Yeah, that's a contender.
All right. Again, another softball, easy one for you. They're going to get harder, though. Dallas Cowboys.
I would say contender. As much as I hate the Cowboys, I've been known to call them the Cowgirls over the years just because I'm a Buffalo Bills fan and have watched, we all know what happened in the Super Bowls years back in the 90s. So, but yeah, I think they're a contender this year, as much as I hate to say it.
Yeah, I'm not going to change my stance on the Cowboys. I think they're a pretender. When their defense actually shows up, then you can let me know. Like, tap me on the shoulder when they have a good defense. Then I'll change my mind.
Okay. Makes sense.
All right, this one might be a tough one, though. It's going to, like I said, it's going to get a little harder. The Tennessee Titans. Pretender, contender, or too early to tell? They got a lot of young talent. They got
new head
coaches, new offensive coordinator.
I think it's too early to tell on them. I've heard some pundits talk about how they could, compete for that division potentially this year. I think it's too early for that. They're a bit of a pretender, but I'm leaning on too early to tell. I need to see more from them, kind of like you need to see more out of the Cowgirl defense. I need to see more from Nashville. So,
okay. Next up, we have the New York Giants.
Ooh, I think they're a pretender. They're a pretender.
Okay.
no
Next
reason.
Next up is one of your favorites, the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, they're a contender. Still a contender.
We'll see how their defense holds up this year and whether Caleb Williams can continue offensively and grow some.
Well, let's hope I'm not wrong.
Not right.
Not that we have anything on this, but it feels good to be right,
Yep. All right, so next we have the reigning Super Bowl champions with Mike McDonald's amazing defense and the Seattle Seahawks.
I think this year they're a pretender.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think I did choose them to make the wild card, but
yeah, I did as well.
But you mentioned they've lost some pieces, running back,
offensively,
and I mean maybe
they've lost a few folks too.
Yeah, so that will, like I said, will bring them down a little bit. So yeah, they in my opinion they did kind of sneak up on people last year, a little overachievement maybe. You never know, but I say pretender.
Okay. I think the Seahawks are a contender until otherwise changed, right? They won the Super Bowl, so they have earned the right
really going
to say
out
they're
on a limb here,
until
Matt.
something change. Yeah, until something changes.
Okay.
Changes. All right.
Okay.
This one I think is pretty easy too. The Buffalo Bills.
Oh, contender.
Okay.
Yeah, contender.
And your home team, the Denver Broncos.
I'm gonna say contender. Although who knows, Nick's coming back off that ankle injury, how he's gonna be able to perform, early in the season. So we'll see. Maybe too early to tell on them. Although I think I did choose them to win their division. So I'll stick with contender. It's not as easy as you think.
Okay.
Matt.
No, it's not. To me, it is. But okay. Next, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's easy for me. They're a pretender. They new head coach, aging quarterback. I don't know. Their offense was just kind of up and down, hit or miss last year. I just don't see them. A new who's their head coach now? I'm trying to think of who.
They do have a new head coach. I can't remember. Mike McCarthy.
Who
was Rodgers' coach in Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, that could be good, but I just don't see it happening for them. So I'll say pretender.
Okay, Baltimore Ravens.
Pretender. Just not big on them at all.
Yep.
I know we feel the complete opposite on this. I don't even see them making the playoffs this year. So.
Oh wow. Okay. Interesting.
Back to back years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So.
All right. Next, we got the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, they'll be contending for that division. They won't be contending for much else, but
yeah, I think it's too early to tell until they prove themselves. It's just that's
okay. Yeah,
it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Then we've got the Cincinnati Bengals.
A contender. Like I said earlier, I think this is their year. Their head coach, Zachy Taylor, he's feeling the heat. He must be feeling the heat there. And I think as long as they stay healthy, it seems like Burrow has a bit of the injury bug almost every year. So it all hinges on that, in my opinion. If they can keep him upright, he's one of the best, if not the best, pure passers in the game, and he can sling it to his core there. And yeah, so I see them contending. They're a contender.
Lock it in. The Carolina Panthers.
Contender. Yeah, I'll stick with that. Contender. I had them winning their division, so contender.
All right. San Francisco 49ers.
I think they're a pretender. Like I said earlier, that power station out there is doing something, whether people want to admit it or not. Injuries and not to hash on the Kyle Shanahan, as much as I love Shanahan's, that was just such a strange, weird thing. Not to let anybody know that fool was in a bad car accident that had him pretty banged up. So just really, really weird situation out there. I'm saying they're a pretender.
Okay, and last but not least, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, contender. They're not a bad team. They definitely played a lot better last year. They have a a fairly new regime down there with what's his name? Let me pull that up so I don't misspeak. But Cohen, Liam Cohen, who's a little
Liam Cohen. That's right.
little. God dang it! Why did I bring them? Just said something. But anyway, yeah. So that guy, yeah, they're a contender.
Okay, thanks, Kenny. Thanks for playing the game. I appreciate it. All right, next is rapid fire. So you go. You can go first here again. Again, no explanation needed. Just your answer. You go. I'll go. Rapid fire. So we'll get through this quickly. Best NFL traditional game. Is it Thanksgiving or opening night?
Thanksgiving.
I agree 100%. Thanksgiving. All the food, all the football, all day. Let's go. Thanksgiving football. All right. Best football movie.
I thought about this one. It's a toss up for me, and it's so hard to choose because I love me some Al Pacino on Any Given Sunday. It's such that I'll watch that locker room speech at least once a year. Always brings tears to my eyes, gets me pumped up. Like it brings out all the emotions in me. But also Remember the Titans, such a great movie. So hard. It's really a coin flip between those two for me. So what do you say, Matt?
Yeah, I have to kind of separate them between like high school, college, and NFL. Yeah. And then we're talking about NFL here. So Any Given Sunday, number one for me, NFL. Obviously, Remember the Titans, 100% agree. High school football, great. Although Friday Night Lights has a very close second there, but I think that movie will always, it just gives you a chill when you think about it, especially with Denzel Washington's performance and Remembering the Titans. And then obviously college, to me, greatest college football movie is Rudy, although it's not as accurate as it could have been. They didn't tell the story all correctly, but Rudy goes for college football for me.
Yeah, it's a great Hollywood story.
Hollywood story, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They made some changes there. It didn't happen exactly the way they did in the movie. All right, so best football uniform, Kenny?
Well, there's a saying that goes around, Matt, and I'm a little partial to this one, but there is a saying that you know why the sky is orange and blue?
Because the grass is green? I don't know.
Because God's a Denver Broncos fan, Matt. It's the Broncos, orange and blue.
The Broncos have the best uniform. All
just
right.
because I love the orange and blue. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love the black and red, so I'm going to go with the Falcons. I think they have the best uniform because you got the old school and you got the new school, and they wear them in both helmets and different uniform styles.
Red helmets or red.
Yeah, exactly.
Tops.
I love the red and black.
Not a big fan of red myself, so.
Alabama, so I can understand why. Okay.
To each their own.
Yes, to each their own. All right, hardest place to play. What do you think is the hardest place to play for NFL players?
Well,
your opinion.
Well, this kind of depends on who's going to play there, but I would say one being Lambeau. I know this.
Yeah. Tough place.
And two would be down in Miami, just for the heat and humidity can be suffocating sometimes. So just for those reasons. So those are my picks. Obviously Lambeau when it gets super cold and windy.
Oh yeah, that winter. Yeah. Yeah. And it's probably very loud because all their fans show up. They sell out their games.
Yep. It's kind of a small-ish stadium, but they're right there and yeah, so it makes for a great home field advantage.
Mm-hmm. This one for me has mostly to do with stadiums that I've been to for NFL games, and that's Lumen Field where the Seahawks play. So it is designed, and it is so loud in that stadium. The way it's designed, the crowd noise bounces back down onto the field, and it's when people are cheering, it just echoes, and it echoes so loud that it's deafening on your ears. And I've never been in a stadium that's been louder. And I can see how that's very disruptive to the players, and it's a very tough place to play.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about Seattle. So
Yeah. This next one, I didn't really have much of an opinion on this. Kind of agree with the fan vote on this, but best rivalry.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, being mostly a Bills fan all my life and hating on the Patriots because they were, the Bills were good in the 90s and, they couldn't get over the Super Bowl hump. And then the Patriots start playing well in the 2000s. And just, to me, it's that rivalry. But I mean, I don't know. NFL rivalries just don't seem the same like they do in college, so it's kind of hard to pick something here. But and you mentioned Cowboys Eagles, it's a pretty good rivalry as well. But what do you what it was that was the fan vote, was the
Yeah.
Cowboys Eagles? Yeah.
Yeah, Cowboys, Eagles, and Packers, Bears. So Packers, Bears being kind of the oldest, longest running.
They probably
rivalry,
have the most
and then
delusional
Cowboys, Eagles,
fans,
modern
so
day rivalry. Yeah,
the Cowboys and the Eagles have the biggest, most delusional fan bases.
and their fan bases, they have the largest fan bases like in the world.
And I have a friend that's a Cowboys fan. I have a friend that's an Eagles fan, and
mm-hmm.
They win Super Bowls, except Cowboys haven't won one since the 90s. So I get it, and they usually, are competing for that division every year. So yeah, that makes sense that would be voted on as the best rivalry.
Okay. Best Super Bowl halftime show. I'll go first with this one, Kenny. You may not remember some of this, but I would say that the 2007 halftime show with Prince, where he performed Purple Rain and it was actually raining, I think that's one of the greatest Super Bowl moments. But it would only happen the way that they do Super Bowl halftime shows now, would only happen because Prince and all these other performers who've been performing halftime shows, they all have been standing on the shoulder of the giant, and that giant is Michael Jackson. His 1993 show was the first one that had all the elaborate performance and everything that went into the show, and how much of a spectacle
that it was.
That set the stage for all the rest of the shows to follow. So Prince and Eminem and Snoop and Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, all these other performers that have done it over the years, it's because of that 93 Michael Jackson show. But to me, I think the greatest one is still the Prince one in 2027.
Yeah, we haven't agreed a lot on here today, but this one I definitely agree with. Brings me tears just thinking about it, just because I grew up listening to Prince back in the day, the late 80s, early 90s. I've always loved Prince. Because he's since passed on, but quite possibly the greatest musician, pure musician that's ever graced our presence here in the United States. He basically could play any instrument he wanted and dominate at it. And then that was put on display, like you said, in the rain with Purple Rain, just kind of chef's kiss. So definitely Prince.
All right, most intimidating defender ever. I'm going to go with LT, Lawrence Taylor. His reputation and the way he played. Yeah, he broke Joe Theismann's leg on Monday Night Football. I mean, everybody was scared to get hit by him. And it is a close second with Ray Lewis as far as most intimidating defender ever.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
Yeah, I have no arguments again, Matt. I mean, I can't think of anybody more intimidating than either one of those guys. I mean, they brought the pain every single down throughout their career. And like you said, people just did not want to be playing against. They ran the opposite way. They just tried their best not to. And, both of them played in different times in today's football. Ray Lewis more recent, but back in, like you said, he broke some guy's leg on national television. Obviously could happen. You never know what can happen in a game, but a lot more physical game back in the day where people would just, hit you right in your jaw, smack you around, twist your nuts, and then get up and do it all over again. So for sure, LT was pretty damn intimidating.
Okay. This one to me is pretty easy. Most clutch quarterback
of all time.
Of all time, yep.
I guess we'll have to say Tom Brady. I mean,
yeah,
maybe
old TB12.
I mean, this, you know, in our time, I mean, I didn't really watch much NFL back in the, before the 90s. So, I mean, I would have to say, as much as I hate to mention him, Tom Brady.
Okay. All right. Next, we're going to go through some bold predictions for 2026. Kenny, I'll start out first. Biggest upset of the season, and I think it's going to be, and this is going to be my prediction, my bold prediction at the end as well. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars beating the Los Angeles Rams in the Super Bowl, and that's going to be the biggest upset of the season.
Wow. I did not see that coming whatsoever. When you put this question out to me, I went through about 4 or 5 weeks of the schedule just trying to come up with something. And honestly, it was not easy. I didn't finish looking through the entire season, but I could see the Titans upsetting someone. It won't be as big, obviously, as that could potentially be, although one might argue that if the Jaguars are in the Super Bowl, it's not really an upset that they win. I mean, they are there. They expect to win. So I was just looking more at regular season games, and there's a week, I believe, where let me go. And I usually tend to, and like I said, I only look through the first few weeks because upsets, quote unquote upsets, tend to happen more in the early part of the season because, not everybody, even the betting guys, don't have a full grasp of how well teams could do. But what week is this? Week 4, the Titans travel to Baltimore and currently are a 8.5 point underdog. So I'm going to go way out on a limb and say the Titans swing in to Baltimore and take down the Ravens, although I think they're down this year. Anyway, it would be quite a bit of an upset.
Okay. All right, next we got the first. That's good. It's still good analysis.
Okay, I mean,
just a regular season week 4 game. That's the biggest upset of the season. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, choosing a Super Bowl win, unless they're
biggest upset,
unless they're a touchdown or more underdog, it's not really going to be an upset. I mean.
Well, they would if the Jaguars make it to the Super Bowl and they're playing the Rams, they will be the underdog in that game.
Yes, they would. Yes, I agree with that.
And I think they'll win by a touchdown.
Okay, well.
All right, moving on. First coach fired, and I mentioned this earlier, who I didn't think would make it to the season. I'm going to go with Aaron Glenn and the New York Jets.
Yeah, I concur there. Aaron Glenn. No analysis needed here. They're not going to do well once again, and he'll probably be let go before week 10, I say. Just somewhere before week 10. Okay.
Somewhere before. Okay. Next surprise playoff team. This is my worst to first team, the Detroit Lions, although, the consensus is that they're going to have a much better team this year. I don't know how much better it's going to be improved from last year, probably significantly, because I'm saying they're going to go from last to first. But I think that, to me, that's going to be a surprise playoff team because they did so terrible last year.
Okay. And my surprise playoff team, well, it would probably help if I remembered who I chose as my wild card teams. I don't think I chose New Orleans to make it to the playoffs. I could be wrong, but Let's go with the Dallas Cowboys, I guess. Although, as always, per usual, everyone expects it, all their fans and the media expect them to do well, whatever. I think I did choose them to win their division. I do remember that. So, yeah, surprised maybe because they didn't make it last year and their defense sucks. And until they show it on the field, no one outside of their delusional fan base and sycophant media folk. But I'll say the Dallas Cowboys. It would be a surprise to people like you or me. And it's not really a surprise to me per se, since I chose them to win their division and make the playoffs. But surprise as in, whoa, the Cowboys actually did it this year. They actually, and I think it'd be more surprise they win a playoff game, possibly get to the NFC championship, but I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Next is breakout player, and I'm going to go with the running back that's going to help lead the Jaguars to the Super Bowl, and that's going to be Bashal Tootin. He's going to be my breakout player of the year. Yep.
Oh, Tootin. This one's a toughie, but let me look at these guys real quick. I'm going to go with Jeremiah Love down in Arizona. I believe you chose him as your offensive rookie of the year, possibly, I think. Didn't you choose? Yeah.
No. Yeah, no? Offensive rookie of the year, yes.
Yeah, Jeremiah. So I'm going to go with Jeremiah Love, my
breakout player. Okay.
As my breakout player. I know that sounds a little crazy. Usually breakout players, you probably think of guys that have, been in the league a couple years and they haven't shown much, and then they have their coming out party. But I think he's going to hit the ground running. Arizona doesn't have much else going on down. I mean, they have a good tight end and McBride. They're going to be most likely relying on, a traditional backup quarterback in Jacoby Brissett or Carson Beck. Their defense isn't that good, but I don't know. Something tells me that Love's gonna pull it out. He'll come out of the gates running.
All right. Next is most improved team. Although I did say the Detroit Lions were going to go from worst to first, last place to first place. You would think that would be my most improved team. But I think this team, it just didn't prove itself enough last year because they lost in the first round to the Chicago Bears. But I think and it's going to be a tough in the NFC North. So I think it's going to be the Green Bay Packers. I think they're going to play a lot better, although I do have them making the playoffs as a wild card. But I think they will be kind of the most improved team as far as defensively and offensively. I think they're going to play a lot better this year.
And then I'm gonna stick with a team that I've chose for a few things, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. They didn't make the playoffs last year. They finished 6-11. I think they will win their division. I think they'll possibly win a game or two in the playoffs, at least one game. And so, yeah, I think it's the Bengals as they need it.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Next is a team that disappoints everyone. Again, I'm going to go with an NFC team in a very soft division. I think the Panthers are going to disappoint a lot of people this year. Even though they were 8-9 last year and won their division. Even you. I think they're going to disappoint everyone. Although I love me some Bryce Young, Alabama, diehard. But I just don't think the Panthers are going to do it this year in the South. And then people are going to be disappointed.
And
especially with – go ahead.
My pick is going to be the Dallas Cowgirls. Everybody's hyped on them about this, that, and the other. I even have them win the division, possibly winning a couple of playoff games, but that's not going to happen. They'll choke in the playoffs per usual and disappoint all their delusional fans and media once again. So it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys, I guess, but
the Cowgirls.
That we know they're. I mean, it's too easy. I mean, put that name in there, man. Okay, yeah.
All right, and last but not least, and I've already said it, Super Bowl champion. I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who do you got, Kenny?
That's a wild pick, man, and I didn't expect that coming into today.
Put your money on it. It's going to bring you. It's going to bring you some winnings.
I didn't think you'd be such a homer, but clearly you are. My hometown.
I just think they have the talent and the coaching and the players to do it. They're going to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
They had the best record in football the last 8 games of the season. Oh,
okay.
They only lost.
Okay.
They only lost their
that,
last playoff
man.
game because of a bad throw that got tipped, and it wasn't. Something happened, but they were like
true homer.
So close. Yeah, so close.
Speaking of homer, go out and watch Odyssey. I'm going tomorrow. But that being said, my pick is the Buffalo Bills. I think they will play against the Rams in the Super Bowl. And somehow, some way, Garrett and Donald, as much as they bring the pain, Josh Allen's just going to find a way. He's just going to find a way to will that team to victory, and they will come home with the Lombardi trophy.
All right, so you're going with Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, give me the Bills.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Every August, football gives us something we all need. Hope. Every fan believes this season could be different. Every rookie gets a fresh start, and every coach has a new plan. Every team gets another chance, and that's what makes the NFL so special.
And if our predictions are completely wrong, which some of them will be, we'll pretend this episode never happened. We can always delete it.
That is so true. But we will revisit every one of these picks after the Super Bowl and see who actually knows football and who should probably stick to watching it from the couch. Kenny.
Well, anyway, thanks for hanging out with us. And enjoy the season, enjoy the tailgates, enjoy the trash talk.
And remember, no matter who your team is, hope is undefeated in August. That's all for today's episode of Life on Record. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you're new to the podcast, tell a friend, family member, or a colleague about us. We just might make their day. Thanks for listening.
Peace.
Life on Record is written and produced by Matt and Kenny Compton. Music by Mr. Smith.